guys, welcome to my newest video for today. For today's video I'm going to be filming a movies I've been watching video. So I was planning on doing a watching the collection video, but I think I've decided moving forward I want to stick to sort of wrapping up the movies I've been watching every couple of months, because I think April was an exception to like why there were so many movies, because like I had that time off work because I was sick, so I was just watching more things then. But yeah, I think moving forward that's going to be what I'm doing, and I am planning on also doing separate videos for the movies I see at the cinema. But so because this video is going to cover what I haven't talked about in March and April, so you'll sort of see some cinema movies in there, but not for all of them. But yeah, because that's a video I'm planning on filming probably sometime next week, depending on how I go. But yeah, so starting off in March, so speaking of the cinema, I do have two movies that I saw on the 4th, and that was Raya and the Last Dragon and Chaos Walking. I loved Raya and the Last Dragon. I thought it was so whimsical and colourful, and I loved the story, the characters. It was just such a fun movie and film to watch, and I gave that 4.5 out of 5 stars. And Chaos Walking was interesting. I haven't read the book, even though I've owned it since like I think 2015, but I don't really have an excuse why I haven't picked it up yet. But I thought it was interesting. I was sort of mainly interested in based on the cast, because obviously you had Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland, and also is it Mads Mikkelsen? Is that how you say his name? But yeah, like it's got a great cast, and the premise was interesting, and the sort of like the world building, but yeah, it did take a bit, I think, for the story to get going. But once the story did progress, I was sort of actually quite interested in the film and where the story was going. So I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I was probably being generous there, but I did like what I saw like when I watched it. So then I watched or rewatched Jeff Wayne's musical version of The War of the Worlds live on stage. This is from 2006, so this is yeah, like the one where Richard Burton is the narrator. So I thought this was very interesting, especially rewatching it after I watched the newer film, because like the newer stage version, because that one's like one of my favorite adaptations of a musical. And because like obviously there's I think about 6 years difference between the 2006 one and the 2013 one, or 7 years, and the change in technology, like, and how they presented the story is very different, and it's like you can see just how much it's progressed since then. So it's very interesting rewatching this one, because I haven't seen it for a number of years. But yeah, so we have that. And then the film I saw at the cinema was Ammonite. I liked this one. I thought it was a very like interesting period drama. It's obviously like I thought the story was very interesting. I loved Kate Winslet, and I can never pronounce her name. Saoirse Ronan. I'm not sure how. I think I probably butchered that one, but yeah, I thought they were excellent, and it's like seeing the relationship progress, and yeah, it's yeah, it's quite an interesting historical like period drama. So I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. Then one of the favorite movies I watched from the Best Picture nominees this year was The Trial of the Chicago 7. This was actually one, I think, I can't say off the top of my head whether this was my favorite, like it was my pick going forward or that, but this was such an interesting story, and the fact so many themes are still prevalent into, like, you know, 40 years after this trial happened. And yeah, it was just such a moving story. Like, you sort of watching it and you get angry watching like some of this, like especially, you know, in some of the courtroom scenes. And yeah, it was a fantastic film, fantastic cast. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So then I had a first time viewing, or actually, well, obviously these are all first time viewings, but this one was watching on Disney Star Plus, and that was Kingdom of Heaven. This is a film that I've been meaning to check out for a while, but just never got to it. I thought this was interesting, because what was that? Kingdom. So I'm pretty sure this is a Ridley Scott film, because I want to say it is, but I'm not 100% sure. But it was, I think the main issue I had was it was very long, and there's some parts where it's like you can feel the scenes just sort of drag and nothing really tends to happen. Like there's sort of periods where it's like where there's all these battle scenes and then it goes quiet, then there's all these battle scenes and all this political behind the scenes stuff going on, which I actually did find quite interesting. But like it's got a great cast, and yeah, again, a sort of I did think I liked it for the most part, but I don't know how many times I would re-watch this one, so I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I watched Zack Snyder's Justice League. I took out a subscription on Binge to watch it when it dropped, so yeah, 4 hours late. Yeah, and I sat down and watched the whole thing in one night, so it was fantastic. I mean, I'm one of the few people who actually liked Joss Whedon's version. I know that's a controversial opinion to say, but obviously this blows that one out of the water. Just so much more character development, seeing the backstories for some of the characters like Cyborg and the Flash. I think that really works well in here, and sort of seeing the hint of what, you know, had everything gone according to plan, seeing what the DC EU verse would have looked like at this point. So I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was fantastic. So, and then I watched another Best Picture nominee, because I don't get too many chances to see Best Picture nominees at the cinema before the ceremony, but obviously this year's one was held later. So I watched Nomadland, which obviously ended up winning Best Picture. I really did like this one. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was very like simple, but I think it was very effective in telling the story about like the life these people live, just traveling from place to place. And yeah, it was a very interesting look at like with this community. And yeah, and it wasn't as I said, not my favorite of the films, but it's like in my top 3. I think that was him. But yeah, Nomadland was yeah, still excellent. Gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Then I rewatched Godzilla King of the Monsters, which I don't think it's not, like, I find this one interesting because like when I first watched it, like I absolutely loved it. It was like my favorite of the Godzilla films that I'd seen, which admittedly not a lot. But I did like it, and then I found on rewatch it doesn't have the same impact for me. But I do still enjoy this film. I do really enjoy the cast, and yeah, it's still 4 out of 5 stars, but I don't think it had the same impact when I first saw it like a couple of years ago. And then, of course, leading on to that, I went and saw Godzilla vs. Kong at the cinema. This was a lot of fun, and I have to say, I think I'm actually Team Kong, which I loved Kong's storyline and sort of seeing like his interactions, especially like with the little girl from the who's from the island. I thought that was done really well, and then trying to get Kong home, and then obviously Godzilla finding out about him, and you know, he's like, you know, you're in my territory, you can't be here. So and then of course the team up at the end was just epic. And yeah, so it was just a fun experience at the cinema. So I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. Then I rewatched Ocean's 8, which I actually watched a couple of times in the week, but I already talked about the second time in my watching the collection video. I love this movie. I know gets a lot of flack, but it's one of those ones that I can just put on and rewatch it no matter how many times. So I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I love it. So. And then I also rewatched Sunshine, which it's been a few years since I've seen it, but this is actually a pretty good sci-fi thriller. It's obviously like quite a so I think this is from 2007, so it's like quite an older one, but it's still interesting seeing a pre-Captain America Chris Evans in a role, so that was sort of interesting. But yeah, I'm still glad I actually rewatched it, because I was like, oh yeah, this is actually like because it fits sort of most of my like tropes I like in a sci-fi film, like, you know, it all takes place predominantly in a spaceship and things like that. So yeah, I did enjoy rewatching that one. So that was everything I watched in March, and then moving into April, because a lot of it's I think the first one that I have to talk about is Courage Under Fire, which I watched on Disney Star Plus. Never seen this one before, so I thought this one was quite sort of interesting, getting like, especially because it's told mostly in flashbacks, like we get the whole story because he's investigating like this female captain, and whether she does like who's died in the line of duty, and it's basically whether she deserves this, I can't remember what it was, the medal that they want to award it, because it's never been awarded to a woman before. So there's a lot of like political pressure, and because like, and Denzel Washington's character is also facing an investigation for what happened while he was on a mission. So I sort of thought those parallels were very interesting, and sort of as he begins to learn more about the character Meg Ryan plays, and sort of seeing what happened and getting the whole story, because there's like conflicting evidence. And yeah, it's I thought this was actually a pretty solid one, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And then I also watched the Mauritanian on Amazon Prime, which I think it was this one came to my attention because Jodie Foster was getting a couple of nominations for her role in this, and she was fantastic as the defense attorney. So and also I didn't realise it had Benedict Cumberbatch in it, so that was an added bonus, because I'm trying to see as many of his films like as I can. So I thought this was a very interesting story and very frustrating to watch, because like sort of seeing what this guy goes through, and it's like there's no evidence that he even you know, committed any of these crimes, that what they were like, cause I think what he just had the misfortune to be like a cousin of one of the guys responsible or something like that. But yeah, just what he goes through, and sort of seeing it play out in the court system, like at different times during the United States political history. And yeah, it was a very frustrating film to watch at times, but it's very good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And then I watched Palm Springs, which was a film that came out last year, but I never got around to it. I love time loop stories, and this one just fit all the bills in that. I sort of like seeing all the different like how that affected both these characters who were caught in this loop. And yeah, it just was just a fun, crazy ride. And I really liked the cast. Andy Samberg and what's her name? One from How I Met Your Mother. That's sort of how it's been. But yeah, I really liked it, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I watched Ava, which it was an okay action thriller. Like wasn't anything too good, but it was a fun way to spend a couple of hours. So, and I like Jessica Chastain in this role, so gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then I watched The Midnight Sky, which I was mainly interested based on, because it's directed by George Clooney, and also I think it got a nomination for Best Visual Effects or something like that, so I thought, oh, I'll tick off one of the technical category films I've seen in the technical categories. But yeah, I did quite like this one. It was yeah, sort of, again, very minimal, sort of interesting take on, you know, the world's sort of ended and just trying to reach these astronauts on, like, who don't know about what's happened on Earth. And yeah, I thought it was quite an interesting sci-fi, like, thriller, so I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. And oh, and then we sort of get to some of my favourite of the, like, Best Picture nominees, which I actually think is my, actually this one is my favourite. It's Minari. I loved everything about this film. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This one, I think, yeah, this was my pick for Best Picture. So this was such a sweet story and I love the family dynamics and sort of seeing them adapt to life in, like, this new, like, trying to adapt to a new life, and just everything going on with that, and then the grandmother coming in, and yeah, it was such a moving story, and I loved it. So that was Minari. And then I also watched Judas and the Black Messiah, which was probably my third. Yeah, so my top 3 for this year was Minari, The Trial of the Chicago 7, and Judas and the Black Messiah. This was such an interesting story. I didn't know anything about the true life story behind it, but yeah, this was, yeah, fantastic. Daniel Kaluuya was fantastic. He's, like, deserved his Oscar win. He, like, his performance was, yeah, just incredible. And yeah, just the whole story itself was such a like, learning about it and seeing what was happening. So yeah, that was I think, did I say I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars? But yeah, it's just a fantastic movie. And I think that was everything that I watched in April that I haven't already covered in my watching the collection video. So yeah, so that is everything I watched for March and April. So I will be doing a cinema roundup hopefully next week, and that will cover April, May and June. So yeah, so this is just playing catch up with the movies I've been watching video, because obviously we're getting near the end of June, and so my next one will be May and June. But yeah, I just wanted to do it in to, like, March, April, to sort of make it be a bit easier. But yeah, so that is it for this video. So thank you guys for watching, and until my next video, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!